Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between aTn, Socke, and Dignitas Select here from Tal'Darim Altar. I believe this was taken from the IEM tournament. At least that's what the replay site told me as this game does get underway. I know I try, okay, a little bit of a side note that doesn't have to do with any of this particular game, as we have Select spawning here at the 2 o'clock position and Socke is spawning here at the 5 o'clock position as the blue Protoss. A little thing to talk about first. Apparently, the replays that I got, which I thought was set 1 and set 2 from the Blizzard Invitational, even though the replay sizes were different, they were the same games between set 1 and set 2, which really confused me. I'm not quite sure why that happened. They may have fixed it by now, but then again, I don't want to waste any more of my time casting the same game over again, only to realize 10 minutes in that it is the same game and wondering how I could make so many awesome predictions. Anyway, Socke spawning here as the blue Protoss player, Select spawning here as the red Terran. I believe Select did win the North American Battle.net Invitational as the number 1 seeded player. Both Select and Sheth will be playing in the BlizzCon Invitational. Sheth will just be playing in the number 2 seeded position, and we'll see how he does. We are going to see some scouting probe now making its way out from Socke. Socke now scouting in the clockwise direction. Meanwhile, we can see Select doing the same thing as well. This map is rather large, so there are a number of different openings that you can try to use and try to execute and utilize. We'll see whether or not Socke tries to do any fast expansion attempts or tries to run off of one base for a little while. Now, the map, because of its size, does tend to lend itself to very macro intensive games. Walking distances are rather large. It will be a little bit more difficult to try to siege up down here from the low ground and start shelling away at the Nexus from up here using siege tanks, as there is a little bit of distance, and we'll see what Select tries to go for. I wanted to cast a game with Select just because I've seen a lot of games recently where he was playing against a Zerg player, and I want to see a strategy against a Protoss. The probe now being forced to run all the way to a Xel'Naga tower. Will he be able to make it up in time? That is the key question. He will be able to get to that Xel'Naga watchtower, activate it for just a moment, and then pull away. You can see that the Marine is now currently sitting at that tower there. The probe may try to come back around or perhaps activate this tower, but the Marines are going to be able to catch up to it, and this may be a little bit of a problem for the probe. The probe is going to sit there and now see the Marines now coming in. Select deciding to back off, as we are now getting a Zealot out. So the Zealot definitely will be able to take on those 2 Marines very easily. The Marines, after seeing the Zealot, now backing off. So a very intensive game of map control, just trying to move those early units, trying to capture those towers. It looks like this probe will in fact be able to keep this Xel'Naga tower here. After an SCV wanders around a little bit from the far side, I don't think he'll be able to return home without actually revealing himself to that Zealot. And now a Stalker joining the army as well. So it's going to be a Zealot and a Stalker poking up on that front door. There are 4 Marines here, a bunker about halfway completed. It does take 20 seconds to complete. A Zealot now going to make its way up the ramp. So far, no losses at all. The Marines now going to get some easy damage onto that Stalker. And that was almost like a give me damage there, just getting a lot of the damage onto those shields. And it looks like Socke is not going to be able to really put any pressure with that Stalker until those shields recharge. As those shields recharge, more and more Marines will be coming or filing out. So I don't believe Select has anything to really worry about, as the Zealots and the Stalkers now simply return home. An SCV now able to sneak by, does see the Nexus, also going to come into here, see additional gateways being added, so it is going to be a lot of sentries all of a sudden, as we are about to complete the cybernetics core research on that warp gate. 170 seconds in order to, or 160 seconds in order to do so. One of the longer researches, only behind Stim in terms of length. Select now calling in double mule, should be able to get a very strong economy. And also you can see Socke, as soon as it destroyed that one SCV, transitioned and got a robotics facility. Very smart move in doing so, getting that robotics facility and not revealing it. Select just currently training up more Marines and Marauders. He is going into a factory. We may see a starport coming in right behind it with a reactor as well, as that will definitely help. There's the starport, there's the reactor. Medevacs should be coming in just a moment, as we are now getting the concussive shell research, and then it should be followed by that stim pack. Reactor about the same time as that starport. They will be able to do that reactor swap in just a moment. As you can see, the sentries, zealots, and stalkers attempting to take down these rocks. The sentries do very little damage, only 4 damage, I believe. No, 3 damage per attack. But with the sheer numbers like that, a zealot up front and also a stalker coming in behind, that does definitely help, as we are now getting more marines and marauders, and we may have a bit of a push here. It is a rather decent sized army. What is it, 17, 1 marauder leading the way. It does have the concussive shell, and will the probe be able to spot those units in time? It looks like it will be able to. The probe's attempting to run away, going back on that far side, and as the marines spot that probe, the probe is just hiding off over here, but the marines and the marauders are going to be able to finish off that probe with little to no issue. And now the marines and the marauders backing off once more. Protoss ground armor now being researched, so level or 2 armor across the board for sentries, zealots, and stalkers. As soon as that is completed, and then adding in a guardian shield will be a total of 5 or 4 armor. A total of 4 armor, so that it will reduce the amount of damage that marines and marauders do pretty significantly, as marines do not deal a lot of damage per attack, but they do have a very fast attack rate. Double medevacs in the air, stim pack now being researched. Combat shield could be researched as well. Going for another round of double medevacs once more. So we are going into double medevacs, as we are also going into a Twilight Council. We'll see whether or not that is going to be for charge, or if we're going to perhaps see some Templar archives as well. Now the marines and the marauders are slowly pushing their way forward. They do not have stim. This may be a little bit of an issue. The medevacs are nearby now. They will offer up sight onto that high ground. Deny this assimilator. The stalkers do not want to try to engage. That's going to be a very difficult... Oh, and in comes some force fields. The one assimilator has been destroyed, and also some guardian shields and some force fields were laid down, but the marines able to get off, at least take down that assimilator, deny some gas, and perhaps just be a little bit of an annoyance and a nuisance there, as the marines just try to figure out what exactly they can do. Gonna shut down another pylon over here on the high ground, getting in a little bit of damage there. You can see that the force fields are gonna trap off 1 marine. 150 energy to get down 1 marine. Not quite sure if it's worth it, but he is exchanging energy for units, which is always a very decent trade. Perhaps a little bit more damage could have been had. We are now seeing the marines and the marauders attempting to take down this set of destructible rocks, and now being forced to pull back. We may get perhaps a drop into the backside here. There are already stalkers in position, and are they going to spot this? Select now making their way forward, does spot a couple of those stalkers there. Now going to catch that high ground, shut down this proxy pylon, or this pylon in the backside of the base. It looks like the stalkers may get some damage onto the medevac. Yes, takes it down and then blinks after the units. Nicely done by Socke. Socke should be able to finish off this army very easily. The marines are now stimmed. The medevac attempting to run away, but not able to do so at all, as the marauders and the marines are now stimming in over here as well. Going to be going after the Nexus. The Nexus will get shut down here in just a moment, at least get canceled. Is it going to get canceled in time? Yeah, going to get canceled, as the stalkers are now trying to engage. Going to be able to blink down after those medevacs once more. Going to finish off the rest of the stalkers there, and now go after a sentry. A large group of zealots and sentries. 1 marine able to barely escape, but more stalkers now going to perhaps engage. Perhaps blink back again. No. Select able to retreat all the way home. Both sides with decent sized armies, but a much larger gas army coming in from Socke, as Socke once again rebuilds this Nexus here at the 4 o'clock position. SCVs already being transferred. Orbital command already finished being upgraded. More mules could be called down in just a moment. Select has plenty of food cap to work with in order to rebuild and retrain his army. Currently training up a lot of units. Meanwhile, we can see a robotics bay now being added, and that robotics bay, if we do have Colossi, may spell trouble. Select currently having 3 ghosts. Those ghosts do not have enough energy for EMP shockwave yet, but even if they do have enough energy for EMP shockwave, they are not going to really be that effective against those Colossus. Colossi, not that much shields, 150 with a lot of hit points behind it, and those Colossi deal so much splash damage without any Vikings to shut it down. that will be very difficult. However, a free Immortal given up there. Select now continues to wander around these ghosts. Very, just trying to stay alive. You can see what 2 Marauders, 4 Marines perhaps will be dropped along this backside location here. An observer does spot this, so that will be very critical. And also a proxy pylon here as well, as more units now being added. Select having a lot of medevacs, 4 medevacs in this group here, in addition to this drop over here, which may come into play. But Socke does have 1 photon cannon in this position as well. The drop needs to be very, very careful though. If it drops too close to this photon cannon, it could get taken down, as now we can see the main army coming in here. Marines and the Marauders now pushing in. EMP Shockwave hitting in a lot of those units, but not hitting the sentries. Both sides battling it out. The medevacs doing perhaps a nice... No, unable to pull back in time, but Zealots are getting destroyed here. The force field's actually kind of benefiting there as the Marines and the Marauders continue to engage. The Ghosts are a little bit overexposed, gonna get shut down. That one far medevac on the far side not even being utilized at all, as Select is going to lose a lot of this attack force here, now trying to go after the rest of the Zealots. The medevac may get shot down to 4 hit points. It does get destroyed, as in comes this medevac. The medevac enough run straight into a photon cannon. That is going to be an issue. You can see that the photon cannon still focusing down that medevac. It gets destroyed. The Marines and Marauders going to finish off that 1 photon cannon there, as the reinforcements able to force a pullback here from the Zealots and the Stalkers. Combinations, you can still see a slightly larger army coming in from Socke when you look at the total resources. But Select still adding on many more units, a lot of production buildings. You can see how many barracks he has. 6 barracks, 2 reactors, a lot of tech labs, Marines and Marauders galore, as we are also finally starting to get perhaps some Vikings. Yes, Vikings are now being trained up. We'll see if another expansion will be established. Already a command center being built off over here. Stalkers going after a couple free medevacs, and wow, that is a very large force. 3 Colossi standing tall, and now also going into Dark Shrine, level 2 ground weapons upgrade, and it looks like Socke going to be very, very difficult to stop here. The Colossi simply attack, moving in straight into this group, shutting down a lot of those SCVs. The Marauders and the Marines with no Viking support may have a little bit of a difficulty here. Is he going to be able to fend off this attack? Colossi now pushing once again, as the Zealots are now trying to push in, and you can see how much damage to be had. The Zealots are engaging. Missile turret did get a little bit of damage onto a Colossus there, a little bit of free damage, as the Colossi has a range of 9, I believe, yes, compared to the range of 6 or range of 8 if you do upgrade. And now Stalker's going to finish off. More EMP Shockwave coming in. The Marauders and the Marines trying to push in once again. Another EMP Shockwave could be coming in, but no EMP Shockwave. A lot of the Stalkers do not have that many more shields, but there is an observer here as well. Is the Ghost going to be able to get the damage? Yes, the EMP Shockwave does land, and now going to be trying to get in both sides. You can see the Marauders trying to fend off this attack over here, and also the Marauders fending off this attack over here, getting in a little bit of damage. And the army of Socke is slightly larger, but he is unable to capitalize. But he was able to destroy the command center that was built over here, evening up the base count, as that orbital command perhaps could have been able to call down additional mules. SCVs need to repair, and now in come the Dark Templars. Dark Templars going after SCVs, slicing away. The Marauders now finally making their way over. Dark Templar doesn't stand much of a chance, as a missile turret does reveal it. Zealots now pulling back over here, as 1 Marine needing to make sure that there is not an expansion, sitting there very, very happy knowing that his opponent is not currently up on bases. And now the Marauders and the Marines perhaps making sure that there is no proxy pylons here as well, as Socke now attempting to establish an expansion here at the 7 o'clock starting location. A Marine now trying to shut down some of these probes. It looks like the probes are going to be able to finish off that Marine very, very easily. Down it goes, as the probes now going to start doing some long-distance mining. Stalkers, Sentries, and Zealots backing off. You can see Marauders are, in fact, over here getting need to get a little bit of healing love. We are getting into a lot more starports, I believe. Yeah, there are a lot more starports. No reactors on them, though, so they are not going to be able to train up 6 at a time at all, as an observer is still wandering between these 2 locations, as we are now going into the Templar archives, perhaps for some Psystorm. Level 3 Protoss ground armor now being researched. That will be a very, very effective against the Marines that are only upgraded 2-1 right now. Guardian Shield plus ground armor essentially means little to no damage from Marines. Socke now mining away at the natural expansion as well. We'll see what's going to be happening as a lot of proxy pylons are here. Oh, that Dark Templar, even though it looks like it was destroyed, was not in fact destroyed. He just it didn't finish warping in. But now with 8 Colossi in the field, 2 ground armor or 3 armor in total, 2 upgrades, and level 2 weapons upgrade, it may be able to deal a lot of damage. Vikings now going after those units. Marauders and the Marines engaging the Vikings, not focusing down the Colossi nearly quickly enough. Dark Templars now engaging as well. Select in a bit of a problem, but the Stalkers are getting destroyed, and the Colossi gonna perhaps try to engage. There is still a lot of Vikings in the air. I did not see the Vikings coming in from the far side, and it looks like more Colossi may get destroyed, and there are a lot of low hit point Marauders here. The Marauders may get destroyed. Colossi now coming in, slicing down through many of those Marauders. Both sides suffering terrible, terrible damage as Select now tries to regroup his army, trying to get back into this game. More Vikings once again being added. Income starting to look rather low and skimpy for Select, but he is still in this game as we now see Socke having an expansion up here and also an expansion over here as well. Level 3 weapons upgrade, level 2 armor upgrades coming in for the Marines, Marauders, and all of those ground infantry units. We are now sitting on, there are no more Colossi, 4 more Colossi with 2 more still being built, or 6 now. So very, very strong Colossus numbers, or Colossi numbers from Socke. Socke getting those shields back up on those Colossi. They will be able to re-engage in just a moment. 6 Colossi dealing an amazing 38 damage per attack, soon to be 42. So 42 damage per attack. Almost able to, just 2 of those Colossi able to single slice through multiple Marines. We are getting the Ghosts. The Ghosts do have that level 2 weapons upgrade as well, able to deal a lot of damage to Zealots and Sentries. But the real difficulty will now be trying to figure out if you have enough energy to shut down all the shields on those Archons. Archons now getting that level 3 weapons upgrade will, I believe, be able to deal 47 damage in attack. Not quite sure on the numbers. I think it is actually 47 damage per attack. So an Archon will be able to shut down a fully upgraded Marine if it has stimmed. That is how much armor, that is how much damage that these Archons are able to do. But the only difference is right now there are no shield upgrades on these Archons, so they may get melted away rather quickly. Colossi, Sentries, because Sentries, Stalkers battling up. One quick Observer quickly getting destroyed. There, I guess that's a slow Observer walking straight into a scanner sweep. Stalkers perhaps going to try to bait and try to get some damage, perhaps suiciding their way into a Ghost. That Ghost is currently sitting on 100 energy, but there are now enough Ghosts to round out this group. Level 3 weapons upgrade, about 80 seconds away from being completed, could be chrono boosted out even further. And if that is chrono boosted out, Socke will have a very significant advantage. Select now perhaps looking for an expansion, knows that something most likely is going on over here. 2 photon cannons as a main battle now going to be pushing over here as well. The Protoss army is sitting on maximum food as the Stalkers just simply walking into the base and getting destroyed. Not quite sure what that was about as the Psi Storm and level 3 weapons upgrade getting very, very close to being done. Dark Templar getting destroyed and a feedback onto the medevac, and this looks like a very, very weakened drop now without that medevac to keep the units alive. The Marauders now attempting to run in along that backside, going to take down some of these probes, doing a good job there. Another Zealot going to get destroyed. I believe that Zealot will get destroyed. No, not destroyed, staying alive at 4 hit points. A base of 4 armor, so effective. As SCVs are now looking to do some scouting, the SCVs perhaps trying to absorb some of that damage. A quick scanner sweep does reveal. Will the Sentries now be able to attack the Colossi? Going to engage, both sides battling, and now the Archons getting destroyed. Psi Storm not really hitting their targets though. Is Select going to be able to finish off all of these Colossi is the key question. There are 6 Colossi, or 6 Vikings left against the remaining Colossi. Marauders are pulling back, and Select doing a great job. And this is a complete turnaround, folks, as all of these Colossi have been destroyed. A very nice engagement by Select. Mass Marine Marauder with Viking support completely shutting down Socke here. And now these photon cannons will get destroyed. What is happening? There is an observer over here as well. The harvester count, though, down to 23, so this is not looking good. The only advantage Select has is a slightly larger army, even though his economy is much stronger. You can see that the economic difference there, 77 harvesters compared to 25. Pylons getting taken down one at a time. Who will come out ahead as this attack continues to push? Select does have this base now, transferring over some SCVs. He needs to call in more mules, train up as many SCVs as possible. As you can now see, Socke expanding to the natural expansion here at what I'll call the center 8 o'clock position as well. One observer, one zealot now slicing its way through this mineral line, quickly gets taken down. Shield upgrades about to be completed as well, as we could have another engagement in just a moment. These Archons looking to deal absolute terrible damage, as the Archons do have a lot of shields. Shield upgrades, level 1 has been completed, reducing the amount of damage, and we'll see if that's going to be enough. Marauders looking to perhaps do a drop on the far side. It will be revealed by that observer there, but I believe the drop gonna perhaps try to come into, where is it gonna try to land? Somewhere over here. Yes, right here. Eventually, we can see now Archons, High Templars, and a scanner sweep does reveal a very large portion of this army. In comes all of these Archons. Archons do move rather quickly, and I believe, oh wow, there's the GG after Zealots were able to run inside this base. And even though the Terran army was very large, he essentially had no workers and knew that he couldn't get back into this game. So yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Stay tuned for Game 2 in this series between aTn, Socke, and Select. Game 2 taking place, or the next video in this lineup, SC916 if you are looking for it.